Hello everyone, welcome to the Unit 4 discussion. In this unit and in the next unit, we will try to discuss about designing summative assessment instrument. The unit outcomes are, you'll be able to recall the nature of summative assessments in higher education, explain the stages of developing summative assessment instrument, write course outcomes using revised Bloom's taxonomy framework. So, coming to the nature of assessment in higher education in India, it includes basically two kinds of summative assessment, continuous internal evaluation and semester end examination, which is also called as SEE. So, the CIE, it accounts for 20 to 40% of the total marks, and SEE accounts for 60 to 80% of the total course marks. So, commonly we have observed that the ratio of CIE and SEE in private universities, it basically ranges from 40 percentage to CIE and 60% to SCE, or sometimes we have also observed that it is 30% to CIE and another 70% to SCE. Again, reiterating what does CIE and SCE mean, because we are going to specifically have a discussion around how do we plan assessments for CIE and SCE. Okay, so CIE, as we all know, that it is conducted throughout the semester, and it includes quizzes, assignments, presentations and internal tests, and it acts as an internal summative evaluation. Probably because the teachers who are teaching the students, they only plan for these CIEs. Since it is happening continuously, it also provides feedback to both instructors as well as students. On the other hand, the semester end examination, it is conducted at the end of the course, and it evaluates overall student performance, and it actually helps us to measure the achievement of all the course outcomes, and also it gives an opportunity for the student to synthesize their learning against all the course outcomes. Now, with this understanding, say I need to design an assessment instrument. It can be for CIE or it can be for SCE. What are the stages of designing summative assessment instrument? So, probably the first stage is to write course outcomes, okay, then develop an assessment plan, select questions, that what kind of questions I need to take. I want to take multiple choice question or open-ended question, or can it be a case-based question, can it be an authentic question. So, first I need to identify based on the assessment plan that what is the question type, and design questions. After the designing is over, probably we need to review the questions for quality. So, by quality we mean that if the questions are valid, reliable and fair. And then we try to moderate the questions, we try to take suggestions from our peers. And once the questions are ready, when we have a robust set of questions, we try to assemble them in the form of a question paper. Now, in this particular week's discussion, we will try to have a discussion around course outcomes, that how do we write course outcomes, and also on how do we develop assessment plan. As far as questions are concerned, that how do we design good quality questions, what is the process of moderation, review, all of it will come in the week 5 discussion. So, let us try to now focus on the first stage of designing summative instrument. That is going to be the focus of this unit. In the next unit, we will try to have a focused discussion on how do we develop an assessment plan. Now, we all know that all the undergraduate and postgraduate programs in India, they must define program outcomes, and they must also define program specific outcomes. Okay. And program outcomes and program specific outcomes are attained through courses or projects. Sometimes co-curricular activities and extra curricular activities are also there. And POs and PSOs are primarily attained through core courses. There are certain courses which we also called as ability enhancement courses, and common activities involving all students. So basically, course outcomes define what the student should be able to do at the end of the course. And we should write the course outcomes such that they are observable, they are accessible, and also they are measurable. So, when we are saying we want to design a summative assessment, basically these summative assessments should help me assess the attainment of the course outcomes. So, therefore, it is important to start with writing course outcomes, writing clear course outcomes, because if our course outcomes are clear, then only we will be able to plan for our assessments, design questions, and also assemble the question paper. Now, a course outcome statement, okay, which is probably predominantly cognitive in nature, has four components in it, and we will also see it through some examples. Okay, the first component is action. It represents cognitive or affective or psychomotor activity the learner should perform. An action is indicated by an action verb, occasionally two representing the concerned cognitive processes. So, sometimes in a course outcome, you will also see that there are two cognitive processes, but those cognitive processes need to be from the same cognitive level. So, which means when we are talking about action or action verb, we are talking about the cognitive process dimension of the taxonomy table. Okay, so the action verb can be mapped to either remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, or create. The second component of course outcome is the knowledge element. Okay, so you can have a factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. And you can also have more than one knowledge element in a course outcome. Then coming to the conditions, condition under which the cognitive activity needs to be performed, and criteria that the cognitive activity needs to meet. So, when we are talking about course outcome, we are talking about four aspects: action, knowledge, conditions, and criteria. However, it is important to note that condition and criteria are optional. Okay, you might choose to write course outcome statements only using action verb and the knowledge element. Let us see a few examples. So, for example, the first course outcome, which is model a spring mass system as a differential equation. Okay, now let us see the components of this course outcome. So, the first is action. Okay, so what is happening? Modeling is happening. Okay, and modeling is happening at the level of understand cognitive level. Because if a student is able to model, which means we can say confidently say that student has understood that particular system. The knowledge is the knowledge of spring mass system is conceptual in nature, and you will be also able to align it with the specific subtype of conceptual knowledge, which is specifically focused on different kinds of system, right? So, which means this course outcome is pitched at an understand level and is aligned to the conceptual knowledge. Do we have a condition? The condition is as a differential equation. So, we need to model the spring mass system as a differential equation. So, the condition is specifically mentioned in the course outcome. Probably if the course outcome is written as model a spring mass system, probably the way the student is modeling can differ. But if we have specified as a differential equation, which means this is the condition, in this case we do not have a criteria. Let us take the second example. Implement a sorting algorithm to solve a given computational problem. In this case, the action is implement. So if you can recall, go back to our discussion on apply cognitive processes. There were two kinds of apply, two subtypes of apply. One was execute and second was implement. Implement is more complex as compared to execute. Okay. Looking into the knowledge, there is a sorting algorithm. So again, when we are talking about algorithm, probably we are talking about procedural knowledge. Okay. The condition is using a programming language of choice. Okay, because it is not mentioned. The criteria is meeting specified correctness and efficiency requirements. Now, the condition and criteria are not specifically mentioned in the course outcome. But when we see this kind of a course outcome, probably we know that it can be using a programming language which is in which a student is comfortable in, and also the algorithm need to be correct and also need to be efficient. So if you want, you can also include these condition and criteria in the course outcome statement. Okay, but these being optional, sometimes it is indicated and sometimes it is not. Now you can see that the revised Bloom's taxonomy, the taxonomy table, which has two dimensions, helps us in writing the course outcome statement. Okay, because we will be able to articulate our course outcome statements very clearly based on the understanding of cognitive processes and the knowledge categories. Okay, how will this understanding help us? Probably this understanding will help us to devise the pedagogical strategies accordingly and also plan our assessments accordingly. So if I know that my course outcome is at apply cognitive level, probably I should not be asking a question of describe sorting algorithm. I will have to pitch my assessments that is at the apply level. Okay, so having clear course outcome is a prerequisite for designing a good quality assessment instrument. Let us see a few examples. So I'm showing you the course outcomes of the course analog circuits and systems, and you can see that there are several course outcomes, okay, written for this course, and each of these course outcomes are mapped to the program outcomes and the program specific outcomes. They are also mapped to a cognitive level. They are mapped to more than one knowledge category. For example, if you see the first example, describe analog signal processing functions in present day electronic products. So in this case, if it is about describing, definitely the cognitive level is understanding, but there are certain facts. Okay. Also, this is related to the conceptual knowledge. So any course outcome can actually be linked to more than one knowledge category. Similarly, CO2 is mapped to PO1 and PSO1, and because the student is designing something, it is the apply cognitive level, and student might need certain understanding of certain concepts like what is the meaning of linear, non-linear, passive, active. So these are certain related to conceptual understanding, and then comes procedural, because student is also expected to design something, right? Simple processing networks. So which means procedural knowledge is also coming and conceptual knowledge is also coming. Similarly, you can also look through the other course outcomes, and you will see that each of these course outcomes are systematically mapped to program outcomes, program specific outcomes, cognitive levels, knowledge categories. Also, along with this, we have specified that how many classes are devoted to each of these course outcomes. Okay, does these course outcome has a component of lab in it? That also need to be specified. How will this structure help us? Probably this structure will help us in deciding the weightage of assessment for each of these course outcomes. For example, CO1, the class hour is 3. On the other hand, as far as course outcome 5 is concerned, 9 classes are devoted for CO5. So since the number of classes are more in CO5 as compared to CO1, probably we will have more number of questions from CO5 in our question paper. So this kind of a structure is very helpful. So when we are writing the course outcomes, probably we need to tag them with cognitive levels and knowledge categories, and also specify that how many classes are we spending on those course outcomes, and if there is a lab component or not. If I move ahead, basically this course, which is titled Analog Circuits and System, has 9 course outcomes, and a total of 45 hours are devoted as far as class is concerned. Classroom hours of teaching learning is concerned, and there are 30 lab hours. Okay, so in all 75 hours are allocated for this particular course. Now we have a very, very clear structure, and probably we are now ready to plan our assessments, and that is the second stage of designing summative assessment instrument. We have written the course outcomes. We have also tagged the course outcomes with appropriate metadata. We also know that how the classes and labs are distributed across different course outcomes. Now probably we can move to the second stage, which is on developing the assessment plan. So in our next unit, we will try to have a focused discussion using the same example of this particular course, because now we have the course outcomes ready. We will try to plan assessments for CIE and SEE for the same course.